Welcome to another episode of 90 Minutes of Wisdom, a channel dedicated to helping you expand your knowledge and develop a more successful and peaceful mind. Today's guest is a veteran DJ, motivator, entrepreneur, producer, and fitness junkie. Live from Koh Samui, Thailand, Jung Park. Welcome, Jung.
What's up, man? Good to be here, Andrew.
Right on. So excited, man. We met so long ago in Montreal. I still remember that legendary party, C'est La Vie party that you put on, and you were DJing and at Stereo, and people, the buzz, the things. I can't remember. There was a really big DJ coming on after you. I can't remember who it was. You probably do.
Satoshi.
Yeah, it was Satoshi, right? And like your set was, people were saying. I remember this walking by and this and listening to the set. It was so crazy, so amazing. I was just looking at a clip of it yesterday, and there's a clip of it on YouTube. All right,
is there?
Yeah, there is. There's like a 10-minute clip of it, and I was looking at that.
Look that up.
And yeah, exactly. And it was really, really cool seeing that and remembering that. I remember this girl passing by, and she was saying to her friend, that's the best DJ set I've ever heard in my life.
Wow.
And it was so crazy. And then I remember people, it was like this huge buzz. I don't know, like you were on fire, man. You could see it a little bit in the clip, but everyone was like jumping, and there was dancers, and it was so hype, and it was so good. And you had so much energy. You brought that energy across the dance floor. Literally, and not to go to your head, I know it's, you have a good control over your ego, but it was like, yeah, people were like, I remember this girl just going, that's the best set I've ever heard. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then people were like, oh man, like how is anyone going to come on after you, after that set? I don't know if you had experiences like that, like every set, but that particular set was like, very well received. Very, very well received. I don't know if you know that.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of buzz, and I was very thankful for that. The funny thing was the day after, there was a write-up in one of the local zines, and I didn't realize this until the next day, but they wrote up saying that everyone, because both me and Satoshi are Asian, and people didn't know, they couldn't tell us apart. And so it was very dark, and the DJ booth is sort of half a level up. Everyone thought I was Satoshi and Satoshi was me, because I don't know, but I think it was an interesting night of music, because first I can't take a lot of I'll take a little bit of credit, but I have to give a lot of credit to just the fact that it was at Stereo and in Montreal, because now, having lived and worked and played in many countries in the world, there's like really no vibe and club like Stereo, especially back in those days. So like the vibe, the people there make it so much more special. The sound system makes it so much more special. The just the monitors in the DJ booth is just so epic. But Satoshi also, that was a time when he was transitioning from what everyone knew him for and was expecting from him, into more of a minimal sort of techno sound. I don't know if you remember this. So a lot of people were thrown back, as was I. So I think that sort of played into the confusion.
Right.
But it was a great night. I was still very thankful for having that experience. And I gotta thank you and Made by Monkeys crew as well, because we did some dope stuff together. Shabazz, Shabazz helped me out a lot, rocking the drums when I was playing the C'est La Vie parties. So
that was cool. That was huge. That was so amazing. That was a great, epic day. It was an epic day, and there was a lot of Shabazz playing the live drum in those, and C'est La Vie. And at that time, it was like, sometimes I say to people, like, it's not who you know, but who knows you. And at the time, like, everybody knew you, everybody liked you, everybody knew you. Like in every club, every scenario, it was really, really, really cool. It was really amazing.
It was just a great scene. It was a great vibe. It was a very good time.
It was.
It was a very good period of time in Montreal.
Yeah, and as you said, you played like stereo and how magical it is. I had a chance to play stereo as well once, and I was opening for Pablo Sabalas, and
Oh, okay.
the
Oh, that
energy
must have been
that was
good.
crazy. Yeah, so we had of course live drumming. We brought up all the like we do like we make the stage into a jungle with trees and everything, and a singer, and it was nuts. Was the coolest thing about it? As I said, the energy was.
Yeah,
Um,
the energy is crazy there.
Everybody knew, there were 80% of the people knew every lyric and they were singing
Yeah,
along. And
yeah,
and it was like, what? And there was a track we released just like a month ago. I understand for I Try because it was like huge, but there was a track we released just like a month prior, and everyone was singing every word. It was like
yeah.
just blown away. It was so the
I mean,
energy was.
I can't. There's not many cities in the world where such a large percentage of the crowd has the ear to spot when the DJs are entering a mix and exiting a mix.
Hmm.
That crowd knows that. Like,
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Something special. Montreal's always been culturally just amazing and special. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I mean, I miss that city a
Yeah,
lot,
yeah.
a
So tell
lot.
me, how is it there? How is it? How is the scene? Is there a club scene in Thailand? Is there like after
Yeah,
hours?
yeah. There is. I think in general, Asia as a whole is considerably more commercial than the Western world. There is an underground scene as well, but the underground scenes are not as, I want to say, not as thick and sweaty and sort of thick, not as thick um, as what we had in Montreal back in the days in New York and Toronto and stuff. Um, but I mean, it certainly exists, and in Thailand, I mean, I mean, nightlife is huge. Where I live, this is a small island. There's only like 70,000 residents here. There's a lot of tourists that come, but still, on any given night, not now, but in
Normal times.
before, yeah, normal times. I mean, there's a club for every type of music you like. There's hip hop, EDM, house, um, and then there's two after hours, and they go till about 8 or 9 in the morning. Um, Naturally, the bigger the city, there's more of a selection. So Phuket is a massive hub, a lot bigger than Koh Samui. It's still an island, still a big major tourist destination. So, but there's a lot more clubs there. After hours there as well. The after hours there, they go till 10 in the morning, 9 or 10, and then
Wow.
there's even day parties after. Um, Same in Bangkok. But the after hours in Phuket and Bangkok, I'm not sure if they underground music, whereas in Koh Samui, for some odd reason, the one main after hours is underground house, um, which is kind of odd. It's cool, but it's
Mhm.
odd. But also, I think there's been a recent surge in hip hop in Asia, so there's a lot there's a lot of hip hop going on, a lot of hip hop clubs, crazy club scene, a lot of drinking.
Mm.
Asia's the drinking culture a lot more than other things.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that was an interesting thing about like here about the after hours and all that. It was like there was, I mean, there was stereo bars so you could drink, but then it's just
yeah,
stopped. So it was like basically nobody. It wasn't about drinking. It was about more about like either nothing and Red Bull or about speed and ecstasy and stuff like that, right? That was more the
yeah.
scene. Is that the same there, or is there no really?
I mean, yeah, no, like in every in any country and city I've been in, it's always around. It's just not the main thing. For example,
Right.
like if you go to the after hours here, yeah, I think that there's a considerable amount of people, rolling, but they're still drinking, and there's no cap on when you have to stop selling alcohol here. So
Okay. Okay, it's different. Yeah.
you can drink all night,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think it's just natural. It's not as much about dancing or the vibe
Mm.
as it is about just being out, getting fucked up,
Yeah.
picking up. And that's what I mean. Like in a lot of Asian countries, you'd be a lot more hard pressed to find clubs and crowds that are more about the actual music itself and the vibe and the dance and the community. It does exist, but it's a lot smaller and it's
Sure.
not as apparent.
Yeah. But
Even in major cities like Tokyo, which are hubs in Asia, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Shanghai, those are the better known hubs for underground. But I mean, I've been there, and it's just not the same.
yeah, that's it. Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, because you have that element of alcohol, which brings out a different side in people, right? And what I liked about like stereo,
Mhm.
it's more peace and love. Like if people are just on ecstasy, it's just like you have this feeling of love. You have this feeling of
Yeah, yeah,
there's no fights, there's no arguments, or
yeah,
extremely rare. It's
yeah.
alcohol. I remember hearing from a friend of mine what they did is decided to stop selling Jack Daniels. And
Ah, right.
just stop selling Jack Daniels, they reduced by 60, 70% the amount of fights that happen,
Oh, no
because
shit.
that actually brings out that whiskey brings out
Yeah, 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 yeah.
that fighting,
Whiskey, yeah.
aggressive kind of drunk.
Whiskey, tequila too, I think a bit, probably.
Yeah, I think there's certain ones. Whereas if you're just like, on, I mean, nobody takes ecstasy and wants to fight. You just want to like,
Hardly, yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know what I
hardly.
mean?
Yeah,
That's not good. It's not a side
yeah.
effect of it, right? It doesn't make you aggressive or your ego stuff
But
like
I mean, it's also interesting because I mean, what the substances that people take definitely has a play in how the vibe and the crowds react and act throughout the night. But I've come to learn and appreciate that the cultures of each society and countries have very subtle ways of influencing that as a whole. For example, if you look at Montreal as a city, the people, the culture, the je ne sais quoi kind of vibe and society, the fact that there's a lot of style there. There's a lot of independence. There's a lot of originality, unique authenticness in people, and that comes out in the scene. It's very eclectic. It's cool. It's diverse. It's very open. Everyone's open-minded. People are accepting of each other. There's lots of different languages, and that comes out in the scenes, and it makes it extra special. Same as Toronto. There's differences between Toronto and Montreal. There are similarities, but then if you understand the culture of Toronto and the lifestyle and the people and society, that those factors come out as well. Versus America, Asia, definitely. Yeah, I think a lot of that changes the vibe. Like Asia is, especially Eastern Asian countries are more of an introverted society, not as open, not as forthcoming, and therefore that sort of has a play in how the crowds and the vibes play out as well in the crowds.
Yeah, for sure, because it does have such an influence. And I understand what you're saying. Like I lived in Miami for a while when I was producing music, and Montreal and Toronto, and seeing the different vibes. You have Montreal, which I guess I'm biased because I live here, but Montreal is by far the coolest people and the coolest scene. And every
Oh,
band,
dude,
right?
I, I'm still biased for
Yeah,
Montreal. I don't even live there anymore.
it's by far the best. And you have
Yeah,
every band that comes through, like whether it's like Radiohead or U2 or whatever. They yeah, I mean, I know they say in every city, like, welcome, I'm so happy to be here, but really genuinely, they're even on interviews, they always say like, we make it a special point to come to Montreal because
yeah.
of the reception of the people, of the crowd, of the culture, and genuine love for Montreal, no matter where,
Yeah.
as a
And
performer, as a
it's a very
DJ.
unique place. I mean, if you just look at the city itself, it's a very unique city. I mean, it's a city in the Northern American continent
Yeah,
that's sort of basically French, but it's
yeah,
not French.
yeah, exactly.
It's Anglophone, Francophone
Yeah,
mixed.
yeah.
It's Quebecois, not French, not Francois.
Yeah, sure, for
It's
sure,
it's
and it's so
and
diverse,
you
right?
know, yeah,
Like the culture. Like I was saying, like growing up, my best friends were Lebanese. One was Lebanese, one was Italian, and one was Egyptian. And you just don't
yeah,
think about that, right? It's just like it's so multicultural
yeah,
and it's so accepting here. There's no different. Nobody sees that. I mean, there's very little. I won't say there's none, but there's very little racism here. Very, very little. It's everyone's kind of accepted. It's nobody looks at each other
yeah, yeah,
and categorizes, which is cool. And what I found about Montreal is that a lot of people at one point they left for Alberta, they left to the west, and all that with when oil's horrible right now. It's like basically at zero. But when oil was booming and there was money there, so a lot of people that were money hungry, they went out to West. And then a lot of, because of the unfortunate thing of the politics of the language here in Quebec, a lot of people, other people moved to Toronto
Yeah.
to pursue money, to pursue the head
Yeah.
offices moved and stuff like that, which kind of led to the people that stayed were just the people that were not so money hungry, that were more about culture, arts, love,
Yeah, well, I mean,
spirituality.
I agree, 100%. So the type of people from Montreal who would stay there, choose
Yeah,
to stay there,
yeah,
they would have to be, people who know how to either be an entrepreneur, start a business, work on their own, be a freelancer, artist, creative. That's it, creative. Yeah, there's a lot of creatives as well
creative people.
in
Yeah,
Montreal.
I mean
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the average person like in Montreal, when you meet somebody and they're like they can play guitar, they're fantastic.
Well,
They
everyone's bilingual,
right.
almost
Yeah,
everyone.
most people, yeah,
Yeah.
most people. But I found like the amount of like the average artist is pretty amazing at their art. Okay,
Hmm.
but I found that other places, and I won't name them, where I visited, and there would be a band playing like in a bar or something like that. And they were like they were terrible, and then another place, and they were terrible. And Montreal, if you go see a local band, they're like amazing. You're like, why are these guys not on a huge stage? It's kind of the talent, and it's just I don't know. It's like I don't know how to say it. Like culturally infectious, like culturally just there. Like everyone's kind of does it for the love of what they do, you know. And
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. Not about making it. If you want, as you said, if you want to make it, you're gonna go to New York. And New York's so close, right? You could just like go to New York, go to Toronto, go somewhere else. But
Well, there's also the fact that a lot of the festivals that happen during the summer, like every weekend, basically, there's some festival going on there. So I know there's an abundance of live music as well, many different genres of music. Uh, but similarly for DJs, promoters, dancers, whatever, what have you, in the club life, it's so great. But at the same token, because it's so great, you don't care to look out of Montreal. You
mm,
sort of forget. Maybe I should, try to
right.
import myself out.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better.
Like,
You couldn't have said it better because that's what I mean. Here, I didn't for like I don't know 8 years straight. I did music with no appreciation. When I went to Miami, boom, launched Made by Monkeys #1 Billboard hit. You know that would have never happened. Couldn't
oh,
have
that happened.
happened
That came together in Miami.
in Miami. Yeah, yeah. That's when
Oh,
I
okay,
went to
okay.
Miami and lived there for 6 months. And that's how it all happened. And when it was here,
Okay.
that same track and I sent the instrumental of "I Try," our #1 Billboard hit, to EMI, and I have a letter from them that I submitted to them, and they sent me a letter back, and they said, "Thank you for your submission. When you have dramatically improved, please feel free to send us more material." When you
Ah,
have dramatically improved, this
okay.
was a #1 Billboard hit. They
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
basically said that my music was crap
yeah,
and I would need to dramatically improve before even
yeah,
considering sending something else to them.
yeah,
And I used that letter, not, I'm at peace, that's okay. I used
yeah.
that letter to motivate other people.
Because if they took it, it probably might not have been a #1 hit
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure,
instead of
absolutely.
going to Star 69, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, absolutely.
Yeah,
See, but that's the thing. It's like, don't get discouraged, right? Like, you know what I mean? If
yeah,
you know
no.
it's good, like I knew it was a good song, and I still knew it was a good song, even though getting this thing, I just thought that's just for everyone to continue being motivated. If somebody tells you, "Oh, that's no good," well, that's like, don't listen, right? If you know it's good,
Well,
if you know what you're doing.
when you're on a path chasing something you truly love and enjoy doing, none of that phases you.
Yeah,
Like, like I'm sure you've realized this as well. Like that's a big lesson of life that I've learned. Remind myself of if I'm ever having a down day, but it doesn't matter because if you look back in your life at any given point in our lifetimes where we were tunnel vision going after something we wanted, whether it be the girl you want to take out to dinner, to saving enough money over a summer job to buy those kicks or a new skateboard or a guitar, or trying to learn how to DJ or whatever it is, buying your cool whip. None of the obstructions or challenges phased you when you were going after that.
yeah.
So if you look back at that and realize that, you realize, well, it really doesn't matter because you really want something. None of that's going to matter.
That ties well, like as a segue into one of your philosophy is do shit. right?
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
doing stuff. So you want to talk a little bit about that? Like tell,
Yeah, sure, sure.
yeah,
I don't take credit on the phrase itself, of course, because many other people have said it, and it sort of clicked when I was, because I follow Gary Vee, and
sure.
he says a lot, so it sort of clicked. It came about because I realized, in hindsight, looking back at my life, starting my teenage years, everything I achieved and managed to attain in life and learn was all came about from just blindly doing shit. Like, I became a DJ by accident somehow by doing shit. I got into the nightlife scene, in-house music, uh, also just by doing shit and trying, deciding one day I'm gonna, throw a party. Amazing job at Red Bull. Um, I've started over now 4 times in my life from nothing. I had to start over completely from scratch. I didn't think of it. You just did shit. And the biggest barrier to life, as I realized in hindsight, uh, after going through so much shit in my life, was realizing that every barrier was overcome from the moment I realized just do it, just try things, and if you're not sure about something, there's only one way to find out or figure it out, is to try shit. If you think you want to be a DJ but you're not sure, should I be a guitar player instead, or should I be a singer instead, or should I give it all up and go to a corporate job? If you're not sure, do it all. Try, do shit, and then it just sort of falls into play. Everything falls into place. I became such a strong believer in that simple philosophy because we all know it. Everyone's done it in some way, shape, or form. Everyone has their barriers in life. Everyone overcomes their barriers in life, but not enough people stop to look in hindsight and realize, hey, wait, I can do this. Like,
Yes,
whatever,
yes,
no matter how hard whatever it is, I can do this.
yeah.
Like, so like I just started preaching it more and more and more. And then as I started preaching it more, I realized people were blind to the fact that they can do something, but yet they don't realize they can because they've done it before, because they just sort of, they let the barrier get to them instead of pushing that aside and realizing, wait, I've done this. I got this. I can do this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's it. Like you saying, it's there's two things that are great about that philosophy. One is getting people out of their comfort zone, right? You can just keep hitting up against your comfort zone, and it's called the comfort zone for a reason, because you're comfortable there, right? So you don't. It becomes uncomfortable to get out of that, right? So you're like,
Yeah.
I want to do this, and people think, oh, I should do this. One day I'll do this. Tomorrow I'll do this, and then a year goes by, 2 years, 3 years, and you haven't done anything. But if you stick to this philosophy of just, as you saying, just do shit, then you get stuff done. And as you said, how are you going to know and failing is fine. That's one thing. In school they teach you, don't fail. Like, oh, you got like an F. No, that's completely wrong. Like,
Yeah, they teach you
you
failing
only
is bad.
exactly. And I
Yeah.
think the only way forward, everyone that's been successful, and I just think I'm huge into Gary Vee, also into, you name it, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, on and on. You could just keep naming people on and on and on, and looking what they did and how they went forward. And all of them had failures. All of them failed. Businesses failed. People going bankrupt, bouncing back. Most people that are there's so many great stories of it.
Almost everyone who preaches anything about anything to along the lines of motivation, positivity, entrepreneurship, success in business, they all say the same thing about mistakes. It's the best way to learn.
Best way to learn, exactly. And then it's
Yeah,
fear, right? Because it's like and then the other quote, other side of fear, right? Everything's on the other side of fear. Like, you're
yeah,
scared to go there. You're
yeah.
scared to, like,
Oh, Will Smith, the way he coined it sort of stands out the most for me. I don't know if you saw this.
sure.
There was a video about him where he was recapping. He left his house, went to Dubai, ended up on a plane. I don't know how many tens of thousands of feet in the sky, and he was shoved out of the plane on the count of two when he was expecting to be thrown out at the count of three. And that was his most fearful moment. And it was also his most liberating and moment of freedom. He was explaining how you have to go to fear. Like, if there's fear, you got to go to it, head on to it, because it will be the most liberating thing that you can do. but yeah, no, his story. I don't know if you saw that, but
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the video really puts it into context because
Yeah.
he's all smiling, and then all of a sudden he's like, he shows the video of just 30,000 foot drop and then he's but yeah, no, he says it's great. Comfort zone is being stuck, and fear is just part of life. If you don't face any fear, there's no growth, and again, you go back to your comfort zone, and you're stuck there.
Exactly. And then Tony Robbins explains it in a way that he says it's your gray zone, and he says it's the worst place to be when he calls it just happy enough. So you just make enough money that you can eat, pay your rent, pay whatever it is. You have just enough that you can have that takeout meal or go to that restaurant one time a week. You're just happy enough. That is the most dangerous place, because if you're in a really bad place, you're going to work. You're going to think, how do I get out of this, right? You're going to use your mind. You're going to be like, okay, I gotta move somewhere. I gotta do something. I gotta make a move. I gotta hustle. He says that's the most dangerous place, is just being there, being stuck in that place. It's not so bad. Being accepting, right? Accepting my life is this. It's okay. And I see so many people like that, just accepting and having that. And it's hard. It's easy to say. And you look at all these,
Yeah, it is easy. Yeah.
great.
But also, I mean, there are people who like that life, and that works for them, and it's not a problem for them because they're happy. They're
Yeah, yes, it's a good
I
point. But
mean,
are
they,
they?
they
Are
come.
they? Like relatively happy? I guess.
I mean, everyone complains. It seems a lot of people who complain more are people who are complacent, comfortable in their life.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
but
That, what, on
um,
that though, I think that it's great. Also, just a couple of weeks ago, ran into this, and they said, well, I always look at things as love or fear-based decisions. And this guy was saying that, well, if to overcome fear is faith, the faith overcomes fear, and faith in yourself, faith in God, faith in the universe, but it
yeah,
overcomes. So if you believe that you'll be okay, there's nothing to be scared of. If you believe you can do it, you will go and do it because you have the faith. But the minute your faith is 51% in control, you're good. You're going to do it. But the minute that fear is 51, maybe I'm going to fail. Maybe I'm going to lose my apartment. Maybe anything, that girl's not going to like me, whatever it might be. If you have just that fear is a little bit stronger than that faith, then you're not going to do it. You got to overcome that. Again, that barrier.
you also got to want it.
Got to want it.
If you think you want it and say you want it, but don't take action on it,
Yeah.
ultimately you don't want it enough. You're not going to go after it. And that works for them. If it works for them, it's good.
Yeah, sure. It's I get what you're saying. It's without
yeah,
judgment, but it's saying
yeah.
it's natural to grow. So like
Yeah, yeah, no, it
every
is.
plant grows,
Yeah,
every flower grows, everything grows. Like it's just nature. Every fruit, everything. It's a nature to grow. To grow. So I think that when you stop growing, it's against your nature. You should be growing. You should be expanding. You should be developing.
well,
That's nature.
growth is good. Growth is available. Growth is possible. uh, by nature, we are humans. Humans were meant to evolve, and if we look at history, it's been nothing but
Mm.
evolving. For good and bad. But humans, by nature, do not evolve. Like we evolve. It's just in our DNA. You're right. We should grow. Everyone should go be in some sort of growth. There's those who grow at this pace. There's people who grow at a
Yeah.
slower pace. There's some people who grow in different ways. Growing in comfort versus growing in challenging yourself. Or I was 2 years old when I was taken out of my home country and planted in another country. At 17 years old, I went to the States alone. So it was just fire and ice. But then very quickly I just sort of understood people are different. There's different values and different principles in life that some people need to stick with and cannot let go of, where some other people have no problem letting go of. Which fears will people face? Which fears some people won't face? Some drastically external experience or happening to force them into a situation to
Yes.
grow.
Yeah, and that just to speak to that, that's one of the things I found in my own life. It seems like the universe always presents an opportunity through pain, suffering, bad luck, something. So you have every time something like went really down, there was like a big up. But like stagnate, like they say you don't grow from a good day, from having a happy, good day. You go, you wake up,
Yeah.
you eat, you go, everything's fine. You watch a little TV, you go to sleep. But did you grow? I mean, really, no. It's out of those tragedies, out of those hardships that you
Yeah.
come out stronger,
Yeah.
tougher, wiser. So be willing to put yourself in those positions. That's scary. Of course, it's scary, right? It's scary
I
to put
mean,
yourself.
it's proven in history, and it even is demonstrated even in economics and business. Like the biggest growth in money, in assets, by people. When does that happen? It always happens after massive depression. It's always been that way in history. The most millionaires and the biggest amounts of wealth achieved in a short amount of time always happens after the bigger the depression, the bigger the growth. And that's the same thing, as human nature, in personal growth, in business, I'd say anything, in love as well, and even in relationships. The more hardships two people can get over and work through, the tighter that bond becomes, the stronger that love becomes. Same thing with wisdom. I want to add to that something. Like I mentioned, I've started over 4 times in my life. I was 17, went to the States, didn't know anyone, alone. Foreign country, foreign land, don't know anyone. I'm in Rochester, New York, in upstate New York. Hey, I don't know anyone. I had to go find an apartment, rent, whatever. Built a life, did well, blah, blah, blah. Okay, 20-something years old, pack up, move to Montreal, start over, all over again, and etc. Again, did that 4 times. Lost all my money, got scammed, failed businesses. Montreal, my dream until then was, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it stereo. I'm gonna be a DJ there. I'm gonna be well known in Montreal. I love this city. It's a great scene. Anyway, long story short, I've gained a lot in my life and I've lost a lot in my life. I won't say every one of those 4 times when I had to start over, it was with joy and excitement. It wasn't. It was fucking hard and it was tough. I was, depressed. I was sad. But the 4th time, 2 years ago, when I decided to move to Thailand, I did it with joy. So it flipped. It became a thing where I did it by choice, consciously. Of course, there was choice in the other previous experiences, but this time around, it was 100% by choice. I should be scared, but I'm not scared at all. But I'm not stressing it because of all the hardships I've already gone through in life.
Yeah,
and, that all comes from that, conditioned habit of just do shit, get through. The harder the fall, the better the rise after. And that brings me to I wanted to add to the do shit, the agenda that I always talk about and push. And the other thing is tying into habits. We're habitual beings by nature, so therefore everything is by habit. And the more you do something, it becomes closer to being a habit. And the more you can embed yourself with a good habit, the more you'll do it on autopilot.
Keep your train of thought. But just on that, I just learned not too long ago that I always thought they said it was 21 days to get a new habit, but it's actually 60 something apparently.
66 days.
Yeah, 66.
Remember, right?
Not everyone say 21 for us. 3 weeks. I said no, 66.
Yeah. They say 66 days, but I don't really agree with that. It could be shorter, it could be longer, it could be a lot longer.
I agree. And I think I completely agree with you. I think it's your motivation. When you're motivated, if you have the love, like you said, love for it, passion for it, it becomes easy. Now, have everything, I believe, you couldn't have said it better, because you have your conscious mind, 5%, and 95% your subconscious mind. So you need that to use that 5% conscious to develop habits that you put into the subconscious mind, and then you're on autopilot. Because most of everything, people think they have control, they're not. It's your habits.
But habits are very much a mental game as well. It's how you perceive things. It's how your which thought process kicks in when you're faced with, a challenge or a hardship or, a good thing even. It's how you respond to things. It's how you respond physically, verbally, mentally. All of those are habits. Consciously put an effort to be attentive to what you're doing or saying or thinking takes a lot more effort and energy versus when it just comes naturally, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but it's the power. Like, that's why it's so difficult for people, like whether they're smoking cigarettes or whether they're eating a lot of sugars. It becomes difficult because to fight, it's really changing that habit. Once you change that habit, then then it changes. But so a lot of people, they get down on themselves, but they shouldn't feel bad, because you can't really fight it. You got to kind of ease into that, right? Ease into that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
habit. It
It
takes
takes
time
time,
to,
and yeah.
so what, if you can share, like, what things do you do in your own life? Do you use like affirmations, meditations? How do you like develop a new habit, or what do you like to do?
Oh, I have a very non conventional way of doing things. To me, myself, I meditate all the time. But my form of meditation is not meditation. The gym is my form of meditation, one of them.
Right.
DJing is another form of meditation for me. Uh, Organizing my library of music for DJing is also another form of meditation for me. And also, it helped me realize what I wanted to achieve from that state of meditation. And that was what it was, a state of meditation, a state of calm, a state of focus, basically pushing away all distractions and zoning in on one single thing without realizing you're thinking of one single thing. And that's what you're trying to achieve in meditation, a sense of clarity, no distraction, clearness. In a deep meditation, a lot of the answers come to you without you asking. It just it's nature taking its course, helping you, right? And that's what the gym does for me. I go to the gym, I put my earphones in, I get into my zone. I don't talk to people. When people talk to me, it takes them like 2 or 3 times to bother me, and I go, okay, because I like zone in. And it's the same thing with DJing. Yes, I'm connecting with the crowd. Yes, I'm doing a job, but that I get into a state, and that state to me is meditation.
We're always asking our subconscious mind or the universe questions like, how should I do this? How can I make more money? Or how can I live better? How can I be more happy? And then we never stop to listen to the answers. And when you have that, it's beautifully said. When you're DJing, when you're at the gym, when you're stuff, you can quiet and have that focus. And you need that distraction, because our mind is always all over the place. So you need to have one thing that you focus on. So whether that's listening to music, following your own breath, DJing, or working out at the gym, that's enough distraction for your
Yeah,
mind to be
yeah,
able to, to focus on meditation and get those answers. As you said, listen to those answers. We're like, I often say, like a child, a small child that keeps asking, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? How does this work? How does that work? But they're never, asking so many questions before, you're even able to give an answer. So I think it's beautiful what you said. Just exactly, quiet your mind and listen.
I'm very well aware of the fact that I do things from habit. So I'm very quick to catch myself if I ever start slowing down on a habit. So I'll catch it immediately, whether it be going to the number of times I exercise a week, to the amount of time I spend on average throughout the course of a week on music, preparing music, organizing my songs, how much content I create to push out to continue preaching my message. I don't have a set, number of hours or schedule that I follow, but there's an agenda there. There's a sort of flow to what I'm doing. If I ever sort of dip from that, I know I'm dipping, so I catch myself and I consciously tell myself, okay, get up today, fit this in, and whatever I'm slowing down on, I'll start pushing back into again. Now, when it comes to, and that took years to sort of develop, by the way, like
Yeah,
years, because it's a habit. Like catching myself slacking on a habit is also a habit.
it's also a habit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's accountability. Like accountability is a very important and dangerous habit that people have or don't have. But to create a new habit, that's where I do have a goal sheet, spreadsheet that I use. I write out what I'm thankful for. I resort to it more during hard times or very challenging times in my life where I have way too much or I'm overburdened. I list out what I'm thankful for. And I do that to get myself in a positive state of mind, which is what I preach. So I practice what I preach because it works. And then I write out a bunch of things that I want to achieve. I don't stress myself on the one habit that I want to create. For example, if I need to create a new form of cash flow, the new goal or habit I want to achieve is not make more money or make one more cash flow. revenue source, or get another client in marketing, or get another gig or residency as a DJ. Like those are not the targets. It might be one of them, but I write out multiple things that could turn into sources of income. And so there's two tricks to this thing I use. I write out the list of gratitude first. So writing out a list of gratitude is sort of a form of a mind hack that I do to sort of get myself in a place to more accurately write out some new goals and targets that I can reflect on and derive the right habit that I want to build. So it helps me get into a better place and mindset to write out certain goals, from anything simple to drastic things. And it varies. And then I write out a bunch of goals. I never, ever hit even 50% of those goals, but I write them there. And what I do is every day, every time I write it, I look at the previous entries, the previous few entries, depending on what mood I'm in, as well. I'm very conscious about what I've been writing, right? So I look at all the goals, and whatever I know that resonates and I see a theme in, meaning there's connecting dots, multiple connections here and there, to one goal, to another goal, to another goal, to another goal. And then that sort of something will come out of that. And that's how I sort of trick myself into building new habits. That's one way. And then there's a, simpler way, which is just be conscious that to create a habit, you have to do the fucking thing.
Well said, bro.
You have to do the fucking thing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do a flip. I'm gonna do a big flip here, because it was probably sometime between 3 to 4 years ago where I really got a kick in my fucking ass. I wanted to create a new habit of not responding. Perfect scenario would be I had at this time let's say I had an assistant at a job, or people that worked for me, or freelancers I hired, and they did something to piss me off, or they asked me something that I've already told them 200 fucking million times, and I'm short-tempered, so I would respond to that, or I would give them shit, and then I realized, wait a minute, that's not helping them. Like, I'm not helping them by giving them shit. Okay, I need to find out how I can help them do better. What's going to help them is positive reinforcement, not negative. You did this wrong, so don't do that again, because I'm putting the focus on what they did wrong. And it took me a long time, but I realized, you know what? I really need to pay attention to this. I succeeded by creating the habit of not responding. I would not respond. The more angry I was, the more severe the response was going to be. I would respond with, and this was the worst one, let me get back to you. And I'll walk away. Let me get back to you. I'll walk away. Or I'll just not respond for as long as I can. I'll just look at them and go, got it. Got it. And because I needed to let myself cool down first. And
Sure.
that became a habit. And that was not an easy thing to do. Just by creating that habit, I became a much better leader or influence to people that I wanted to teach, because I stopped giving them shit. They felt more warm to me. They were more willing to listen to me after that, because I stopped yelling at them. I stopped giving them shit. I would just be like, okay.
Yeah. There's two things that are very good at what you said, like that I just want to highlight. Is one is like, never respond, never write an email, a text, or anything under with emotion, with negative emotion, right? Even with positive emotion, if you're way too happy or way angry or sad or depressed, don't post, put your phone away, whatever. Wait till you're in a good frame of mind, a balanced frame of mind. And number two is one of the biggest, some of these big, really amazing coaches, okay? And this coach would use your method. So whenever they would coach their students, they said, you could call me whenever, okay? But whenever the student would send a message like, oh my God, I need you right now, like so badly, the coach would not respond. Okay, the coach would not respond. And this is what you're paying the guy to do, right? Is to respond. So whenever it's the biggest crisis, he would not respond for at least 24 hours. And then 24 hours later, the student would go and of the coach and say, Coach, I sent you this message. I needed you so badly. I was so lost and you didn't respond. He said, yeah, that's right. I didn't respond. He says, so tell me what you did. Tell me how you got out of it. Tell me the thing. He goes, if you called me and I could tell you the answer, you would not grow.
Right.
I need to show you need to do what you need to do, then speak to me, and I will tell you what you did, how evaluate it, and tell you what you could have done better for next time. This is the only way you're gonna grow. You have to let him,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Well,
and
that's a
yes,
great way to handle, pushing, giving someone the opportunity to figure things out for themselves. It was hard. Like that's why I'm a big believer in habit, and especially for thought processes, because the thought process is, this goes into ego, this goes into pride and accountability and reflecting on yourself, which is a lot harder to do when you versus just creating a new physical habit, like working out or learning a new skill or getting better at a job, or presenting yourself better, or something external. You have to go internal, and when it becomes anything to do with something internal to human nature, it gets more tricky.
I agree. But the thing is, I think sometimes I'm the same way, and certain things really, really resonates with me. What you've been saying is because I'm so hard on myself. Like I
Right.
am so like, if I make a mistake, you don't have to reprimand me or tell me off or anything, because no one's harder on me than me. It's sometimes a challenge not to be hard on others because I hold myself such a
Right.
high standard,
Oh no, the
right?
higher, if you hold yourself to high standards, you're gonna expect the same from others.
Right, and
You're
it's
gonna
really,
hold
yeah,
them. You're
and
gonna hold your standards on them.
right, and it's out of a place of love. It's not out of
Yeah, it is.
because you're trying to make them better. And I was just watching. I
I
don't know
get
if
it.
you,
Yeah, yeah, I get
yeah,
it.
yeah. If you're watching the Michael Jordan documentary on Netflix, I don't know if you had a
I
chance.
watched it the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, to see that. But that's like, it's like Jordan, right? Like he's like the winner of winners. But man, he was hard on he was hard on the other Chicago Bulls. He was hard on, look, we got to practice. We're going to practice in the summer. We're going to win. Like pulled them all up right into
Yeah.
winners. It's like, so when you have that winning mentality, it's easy to say, oh, it's okay. Let the other person fail, whatever. But you're trying to pull them up, and that's why you care. You won't have emotion like with somebody you don't care about, right? It's because you care about them that you have that emotion, usually that's tied to it. Somebody that's close to you, somebody you wanted, because you have that feeling. If you really don't care about them, you're not going to have emotion. You're going to be like, yeah, okay, whatever, do whatever you want, fail, go ahead. That's one thing. But the other thing I wanted to address was when you said about gratitude and how amazing that is, because you cannot be feeling gratitude and feeling fear or anger at the same time. You can't. So I often say it like it's like switching a channel. Like you can't watch an episode of Friends and watch the news. You have to turn the news. You turn on CNN or whatever news channel, or you watch a comedy. You can't be watching both at the same time. So when you change to gratitude, and I find that I use that as a default. So when I have things start going awry, I'm out of synchronicity, out of flow, and what I'll do, and I'll just quiet myself, and I'll start saying everything I'm thankful for. Thankful for this, and thankful for my health, and thanks for. And when I start going with this gratitude, it's going to raising my vibrations and getting me out of there. So I disassociate from the situation, bring myself into a place of gratitude, and I find how that helps tremendously.
When you're thankful, you're at peace.
Yes.
Your guard's not up anymore. Your guard's down. And there's many ways to address that. Like you said, you get your vibrations to the right place, or you get into a better place spiritually or holistically, or
Yeah.
fucking hard time. I got nothing but problems. But I'm gonna look for a solution to these problems now.
Yeah.
And it's daunting. It doesn't change reality. Like no matter how thankful you are. I mean, you and I could be as thankful as we want for all the pizza we ate today, or not. Just as an example, you can be thankful for being in Montreal. I can be thankful for being in Thailand. No amount of gratitude is going to make this virus go away, right? It's not going to change reality, but it puts us in a better mood. And by being in a better mood, it's a lot easier to look at things more clearly and look at a solution. So instead of just being lost in problems, by zoning into your gratitude, you're just more calm and go, okay, I have problems. Why are those problems? Those are problems because I need to get through those problems to A, B, C, or C. And you can sort of hone in on that a lot easier when you're at a place of gratitude.
Is there any last thoughts that you want to share with the listener right now? Any last closing thoughts, any advice and stuff? You've been through so much. You've had such a cool life. As you said, you restarted 4 times. You've been so successful. You've had strong mind, disciplined guy. like if you want to leave some last parting, I don't know, words of advice for our listener.
No amount of negativity or positivity is going to change reality. Nothing. So what are you going to do? What can you do? You can only take steps to make things better. So choose to find a way to get things done. So just go do shit. Just so you just gotta do shit. You gotta be in a good place here so you can try doing things better or with a more open mind. And no amount of negativity, because it's gonna come. No amount of hate, it's gonna come. No amount of problems or challenges, it's never gonna go away, right? Like it's never gonna go. It's never. So nothing changes reality besides what you do. So there's one answer. You gotta do shit.
Okay, awesome.
You gotta do shit.
Awesome, Jung. Okay, listen, man, I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, man. No, it's
fantastic.
to be here.
And so, listen, I wish you a wonderful evening, a wonderful night, and wish you a successful and peaceful mind, my friend.
You too, man.
All right, bud. We'll talk soon.
Have a great day, and thank you again for having me on.
Okay, bud. Okay.
Bless. Ciao.